What is up, guys? It's the Sound Alchemist, and I'm here next to
Gershwin.
And today we're back to answer your questions in another wholesome episode of Questions for the Greater Wall.
This is a video series where we answer the questions left by you, the viewer. If you have a question for us, comment down below. Put question in front of your question because we get to those questions first.
For the Greater
Wall! Okay, I thought you weren't going to do it.
I was always planning on doing it.
So this question comes from Rule 30. Nope, that's not him. What? Here it is, okay. Double Golden Gamer. If the Emperor returned, would a time of great purge follow? And would religion be forbidden again? So if the Emperor came back, what would happen to the Imperial Creed? I strongly believe that, unlike Guilliman, who, once he returned, he was just like, you do your thing with worshipping the Emperor, I'm over here fighting chaos. That's my main target. The Emperor would try to correct humanity because his number one goal is humanity. It's not war, it's humanity.
He's trying to lead them on the most beneficial path, and seeing as how things kind of went astray after he had to be interred on the Golden Throne, he has to once again fix that road.
So I think there would be a second unification war where he would go to battle against the Ecclesiarchy, and because the Ecclesiarchy is so powerful, they would gather their own armies and, of course, have their own factions fighting against the Emperor's faction.
Basically Horus Heresy 2.0.
Mm-hmm. And then the battle to get rid of the Imperial Creed and establish the Imperial Truth would commence once again.
Yeah. Definitely, it'd be very, very detrimental to the Imperium, since they're already getting besieged on all sides by Xenos, Chaos, and now they're going to be fighting from internally. That's not going to be good. But I think the Emperor knows this, and he still sees that this is still a better option than having them continue on in that path.
Yep, because it's all about foundation. If you don't have a good foundation, which is a foundation based on Imperial truth, then you're just going to continue to have corruption like you do now.
Right. And it's like, it's so easy to just say, oh, this is a false emperor. Don't let his thoughts confuse you. We all know that the God Emperor is the real emperor. So it's just so easy to get humankind to join the High Lords and the Ecclesiarchy because they got power now. They're not going to want to give that up, even if the actual emperor was revived.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Good question, though. Next one is finally from Rule 30. He asks, since Gork and Mork exist as warp entities, could they create demons of Gork and Mork? If so, what would these demons look like? No, they could not. They're not that powerful, and they're not those types of gods. What they do is they just empower
the orcs.
Yeah, the orcs. They work through the WAAAGH energy and through the weird boys. Yeah, next question.
Mountain Yeti. Do orcs use or enslave any other races or species? Any chance that they would use a creature for transportation? Or do they just stick to spore-like creatures?
No, of course. They enslave all types of sentient and non-sentient creatures. Yeah.
I mean, squigs, Gretchen, grots, technically they're still spore-like creatures, but they use them as a way that they're enslaved pretty much. Mm-hmm. But yeah, feral orcs, I think they also use like the wildlife, boars, stuff like that.
Whatever it is, yep. Next question comes from Guff Scrap Undeaf Skulls. A lot of orc questions because it's Orktober. If I have 11 tank hunters and 1 bomb squig, would it fit in a truck that can hold 11 orcs? Yes, because you're an orc player and you could cheat. I think the trucks fit 12.
That makes sense, yeah.
Yeah.
Which is weird, because you could have squads of 30 boys, but you could only put 12 in a...
Yeah, I think even the battle wagon can only fit 24, which is kind of dumb. But anyways.
That's why you have the psychers to teleport.
Yeah, the jump. Mm-hmm. You should be using the jump. Next question.
This one's also by Mountain Yeti. So how did the Skitarii and other Adeptus Mechanicus fit into the 40K universe? Who are they allies and their enemies? And how did they actually come to be?
So they are part of the Imperium, but they're kind of unique in that they hold their own religion. They hold their own, power through the forges. They have their own planets, forge worlds. Mm-hmm.
If anything, see them as like a second Imperium.
Mm-hmm.
Because technically they're their own thing. They have their own governing agencies and stuff like that. Tech priests, not high lords. The what's the top of the brass called for the
Fabricator generals.
There you go. And they're actually in allegiance with the Imperium.
Yeah.
They're not the same thing. They're just allied.
Yep. During the Age of Technology, or the Dark Age of Technology, Mars and Earth, they were separate but equal. They send out colonization ships and all that kind of stuff. When the Age of Strife happened, there was no connection between Earth and Mars. And then when the Unification War commenced, Terra was conquered by the Emperor. He moved over to Mars, and he was about to destroy Mars because he had the ability. He had the Space Marines. He had the intelligence to take over Mars. But instead, he said, Mars is valuable to me. It's a very technologically advanced place. I'll make a deal with the Fabricator General. We won't destroy Mars as long as you build stuff for us. And we'll even let you continue to worship your own gods. Even though a good portion of the people on Mars already or believed that the Omnissiah was the Emperor and they were one and the same. And of course there's rebellions because of that and stuff like that, but eventually it was quelled. And now they're just kind of, they work symbiotically.
Yeah, there's also theories stating that in like the Middle Ages or whenever it was, when the Emperor defeated the Void Dragon, he put it under Mars to use the Void Dragon to kind of strengthen future events and to kind of lead the whole Omnissiah machine spirit thing. So maybe he knew Mars was going to be such a big part or a big piece in the future. That's why he put the Void Dragon there. But again, it's all theory, it's all speculation.
Yep. Next question.
This one is by Nigel Thornberry. What would happen if the Imperium discovered one of the missing Primarchs was indeed in the possession of Trazian the Infinite?
I mean, they went away for a reason. I think the Imperium would be like, well, we don't even know who this guy is because he's not in our records. If he's not in our records, that means that he's not important. So.
Right. I mean, he was, again, like, forgotten and lost for a reason, so I don't think they'd make any, like, rescue parties or anything like that.
It's like a traitor is a traitor.
Right.
Next question comes from Kennedy Shepard. Are some Space Marines genetically flawed to fall to chaos no matter how much they worship the Emperor? In other words, could a Space Marine worship of the Emperor overcome genetic flaws? Yeah, sort of, because you have like the Black Dragons, who their genetic flaw is like those spikes, and I mean they're not chaotic. They worship the Emperor, so I think what you're doing though is you're comparing genetic flaw to chaos, and that's not the case. A genetic flaw doesn't necessarily mean that you are chaotic. A blood angel thirsts for blood, but that doesn't mean that it's blood for the blood god. So to answer the question, the genetic flaw cannot be overcome by worshiping the Emperor, but worshiping the Emperor keeps them from going to chaos.
Zerai Khan. So, what's the best starter pack, if it's worth getting a starter pack, if I'm just trying to get into playing 40K? I've been reading the books, and I'm really getting into the lore for years, but I never played or painted any models. I believe it is time, and it seems like quite an overwhelming task right now.
It's not. The starter sets, the $85 starter sets you can get on eBay for cheaper, probably like $60. And I would recommend any starter set. The Tau starter set is amazing. It comes with a lot of models.
I'd actually go with I believe it's called Dark Imperium starter set. It's the one where the Primaris first came out in, and you've also got Plague Marines, Nurgle stuff. With that, it gives you the rulebook, the stats for the models that you have. It gives you 2 factions, so you could play against somebody else. And I'd say actually go to if you have a local GW, I'd say go there first.
Talk to the people, yeah.
Yeah, talk to the people, get to know your local players, build a community. That way you don't feel so alone, and you can get painting tips. You guys can do a whole bunch of tournaments and stuff like that to really get you involved to the hobby.
Yep.
But yeah, all it takes is a step into the store.
Mm-hmm.
Chris de Dios, which model are you hoping GW will release next? Should GW even make an Emperor of Mankind figure?
So I want GW to release Fulgrim, because that would be badass. A giant serpent demon.
Yeah, with like 4 arms.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What about you?
The Farsight model, they kind of released a new one. I mean, yeah, it's been like 5 years or so, but you could easily just convert one, and I feel like it's not really a necessity. Now, the model that I do want to come out would be a, what's that thing called?
Incarn?
No, it's a vehicle for the orcs that like shoots out like spore mines or whatever.
Oh, the yeah, I know what you're talking about. The mine trapper?
Something like that, yeah. Because
Yeah.
I mean, they're releasing vehicles for the orcs. Why not just release this thing? It's different, but it's still a vehicle. But
Yeah, and it has a cool mechanic to it.
you're a cool mechanic.
Oh. And then would you think that an Emperor model would be good?
Yeah, I mean, maybe because it's gonna be really fun to play with. Obviously, it's gonna sell. Most likely, it's gonna be overpowered. So maybe make a restriction where like you could only use it in friendly games or something like that. Because you know everybody's gonna be using the Emperor.
Yeah. I really think that GW should keep that though, like as a ace in the hole type thing. Bring it out when the going gets tough. Don't bring it out yet, because right now we like the Primarchs. We like these releases, except for October. October is a mess. But anyways, those were the questions for today. If you guys have more questions for us, comment down below. Put question in front of your question, and thanks for sending these questions our way.
That's right. Again, put question for your question. Like, thumbs up the ones you like. And of course, this is the Sound Alchemist.
Gersh 1.
And we are out.